it's one of those things that, you know, especially in film, still a little bit Native American and Indigenous people of all lands are always looked at as used to be here. Whereas I'm a person who I'm Indigenous, know where I come from, and we are still here.
Close it up one time. Turn. Grip it. Again. Double it.
Boxing fans, make some noise!
Saturday this weekend, my sister's got a big fight going on.
You know I can't win without my baby sis. You think I'm gonna win? You better say yes.
I find girls and bring them to the motel.
Is that her?
Yes, her.
If you want to go through with this, you have to be all in and play the part. And once you're there, you're on your own.
If I were you, I'd walk away.
Hi.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. Put your seatbelt on, please.
I'm angry. It was my responsibility to keep her safe, and I failed to do so.
Where is she?
She's gone. I'm never gonna see her again. Nobody's looking because nobody cares.
Not a day goes by where I don't think about this little girl.
You think I remember their names?
This is about survival.
Go!
You gotta be ready.
Get out of here, girls, go!
I tell myself she's dead, but she keeps swimming on back to me. To remind me she's still out there.
Where's my sister?
Hello and welcome to the 206. My name is Mark, coming to you from Seattle, Washington, and this is the Changing Directions interview series. Now today, not only am I speaking with award-winning filmmaker Josef Kubota Wladyka, but I also get to speak with Kali Reis, the current WBA Super Lightweight Champion, and we get to talk about their movie, Catch the Fair One. Josef, Kali, welcome to the 206.
Hello. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you for being here. So let's get right to it. Josef, Kali, you co-wrote the story. Josef, you directed, and Kali, you played the lead role. So after watching the movie, it's very clear that to me that the two of you had something to say about the world we live in. So how did the two of you meet, and what was the thought behind wanting to create this movie?
Sure. We met, it's been a long 5-year journey. And together working on the script and working on the story was about 2 years of us sort of collaborating in building the characters and preparing her. But we initially met in 2017, and it was actually through boxing, I was starting to get really into boxing, and I actually found KO through social media on one of my friend's sites. So I was immediately drawn to her because, you know, she's this world champion boxer. I wanted to see her hitting the mitts and follow her videos and stuff. But then also what was very powerful about her was how outspoken she was and how she uses her platform to speak about her community and the things that she cares about. Right. And, you know, at the time, the MMIW crisis was getting more and more brought to the surface, even more so back then. And so I had been germinating an idea of a film, but I knew there was something about Kali that I wanted to meet her and talk to her and just see if she's interested in acting at all and just get a sense of her. So I drove up to Providence, I brought a camera, and I just started interviewing and hanging out. And it was basically, you know, we just had an immediate connection. I don't know if it's because we're both OCD Virgos. I don't know if it's because we're both mixed kids that have been confused our whole life. But and also she was training for a fight. She's always training. So I was like, oh, I want to go see you hit the bag. I want to see you. So, and then when I saw her sparring the ring, sparring like dudes, world champion dudes in the power, I was like, there is a movie here. There's something powerful. It's an inexplicable thing as a filmmaker. I was like, I got to make something with her. And I told her, you know, I'm thinking about this film and I want you to act in it. And the process, we're going to spend a lot of time together. If you want to go on this journey with me, I want to incorporate you into the story and get your perspective, because I know that she goes around to reservations and speaks to people. She has a lot of knowledge and a lot of input on it. So, you know, we kind of made a pact, me and you, homie. And we just set out on this journey that took about 2 years to actually get the film made. And you know what it means to us is just I don't know. For me, it was a beautiful, as an artist and a filmmaker, just a beautiful collaboration.
Right.
I don't know. You can speak on how you feel.
Yeah, no, it's amazing how things just happen, especially when you least expect it. When I first met Joseph, I was in a weird spot in my life. I just lost my brother from brain cancer. I wasn't working. But you know, I've always been interested in the art of storytelling or acting. I just didn't know how to, you know, I didn't know how to start, just like everybody else. I'm like, maybe I'll get a cameo commercial or something. I don't know. Being an established fighter, I figured, you know, something will come around, but I put it out to the universe. Shortly after, he inboxed me, and it's one of those things, kind of when you know somebody isn't full of it, you know. And just this whole approach on having this idea of the context of the story and having, you know, done his own research and wanting to tell the story, but knowing it wasn't his story to tell, and really wanted to get my input and kind of just my perspective on it. It was just immediately I knew that, well, this, whatever it's going to be, I trust this guy to respect my perspective and just really explore this world of Indigenous people in this crisis that does not get, it's very underrepresented and doesn't get any mainstream media play. So, you know, he gave me his knowledge as far as, you know, what it's like to be on set, film world, doing actor things, and just being a natural artist from the beginning. You know, boxing is an art. You know, I love drawing, painting, everything, like just being very expressive. It was just, you know, it was meant to be, and to being able to create the characters with him and the story and understand the themes, it just really helped me to understand and really grasp it pretty fast. And kind of, it was easier for me to perform and be very vulnerable in a very different world than boxing.
Wow, thank you. That's some great insight. Now, Kali, since this was your first real like acting job, so take me to like the first day on set. Like, what did that feel like for you? Like, was it like, just give me that experience?
I mean, it was, number one, I knew walking into this that people were going to think, oh, here comes another athlete trying to be an actor. Here we go. She's going to suck. Yeah. But the first day was in the boxing gym. So it was a set. It was in the boxing gym. And I'm like, oh, you know, I know this, but no one was freezing cold and they couldn't put the heat on because of noise things. I'm like, oh God, this is crazy. But I knew once they saw that I was serious about this, that everybody's perspective would change. And by the end of the first day, everybody was all in, because like the feeling of the set was weird the first day. Like everybody was kind of like activated.
First day jitters.
Yeah, first day jitters.
Everyone's nervous.
Everybody, I know, it was so weird, and I didn't know what to expect. Never been on the set, but because it was in the boxing gym, it was a familiar territory. So just like when people didn't know who I was as a fighter, and I go up there and I knock down, you know, Cecilia Brækhus on HBO, it was like, oh, she's here for business. It was one of those aha moments, like I'm supposed to be here. Now that I've proved that I'm worthy of being here, let me work, kind of a thing. So that was kind of how it ended up.
Wow. No, I love that. That sounds like a amazing experience to have, just to kick things off. And like you said, it relates to your boxing experience as well. So from a filmmaking perspective, and I guess Joseph, I'll ask this you specifically as a director, what was your biggest challenge making this movie?
Let's see. There's many.
Always, right?
There's just so many. I think, look, with indie films, and you don't have some huge famous person who will get the film financed. Yeah. I think that's always the most difficult part. The struggle, the investment in time, the relationship I built with her, and wanting to make the film, but it's a hard film to get financed in a lot of ways. So just like, I think that's usually always the most difficult part, is that phase where I can see the movie, you know what I mean? I've shot all this stuff with her on my DSLR, and we've worked scenes, we've written scenes, we've acted out scenes, it's like I can see the movie, but seeing the movie and feeling like you're ready, and then being on the first day of set shooting, there's a lot that has to go on in between that time. Sure. So I think that's the challenge. I think that's always the challenge for indie filmmakers. Their first probably first or second film. And then also if you're making films that aren't necessarily a slam dunk in terms of like a 4-quadrant audience is gonna love this, you know. So so I think that was the biggest challenge. And then there's always all the usual practical challenges while you're shooting. And you have no time, and it's 2 degrees outside, and and
then of course you have to deal with some athlete coming in trying to act, right?
To be honest, there was no drama with that, which was
nice.
that. But I knew that like from the moment we just started hanging out, like I knew she could do it. And then, she's a fighter, so she's disciplined. So really it was just a matter of us just building trust with each other. And that was the easier part for me. It was all the other drama of an indie film, you know what I mean?
Right.
That was, she was ready and she was prepared. And that's one of the beautiful things about making a film like this is you develop like such a close relationship, similar to my first film. Like with the kids that I used in my first film, we're like family by the time we're shooting. So it's like we feel that aspect, we feel comfortable, you know. But sometimes like, I direct a lot of television and you don't even know the actors before your first day of shooting. You just shake their hand and you start. So it's a very different kind of thing,
Sure.
Yeah.
No, thank you very much for going into that. Now, the movie one of the primary topics is human trafficking, and it's something I have spent time learning about, doing fundraisers for in the past, and it's important to me that these types of films are made. So one of the things that I feel people don't understand is that human trafficking happens right here, in our cities, in our towns, in our backyards. And it's not just something that happens, in some place on the other side of the world. So tell me your thoughts on that aspect of the movie, and especially in the context of how Indigenous people are impacted here in the US.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something that, being the first people of this land, we're the last people to be thought about, unless it's in a statistic like drug abuse, homelessness, violence, abuse, the list goes on and on.
Right.
And, it's one of those things that, especially in film, still a little bit Native American and Indigenous people of all lands are always looked at as used to be here. Whereas I'm a person I'm Indigenous, know where I come from, and we are still here. Right. And we're being politicians, world champion boxers, on film directors. There's so much talent. So it was one of those things where every time I opened my mouth and talked about it, boxing wise, I never heard of that. I'm like, the girls lives 20 minutes away. What do you mean? Like I've experienced that from my own family. And it's one of those things that Native American and Indigenous people know are issues inside that circle, but it's the mainstream media, those allies that we need to make a change. So it's perplexing to me to think that one white girl goes missing in America and she's plastered all over the place. But I literally have alerts on my phone every second of every day about a young boy, a young girl, an older woman, an older man, an Indigenous somebody, because it's in these areas and it's in mainstream media where they're not making it a big deal outside of Native countries. So it's not a big deal, but it's a huge deal. And it's something that it's between, I mean, everything's connected, even with these pipelines being drilled through these sacred lands. When they have pipelines to be drilled, there's man camps that go there. There's hundreds of men that's there for a year at a time. That's where those missing girls go more. So a lot of things kind of come full circle, and it's all here. It's on your land. Even where you are right now, there's Indigenous people, there's Indigenous land there. And, start educating yourself on what land you're occupying. That's always a start.
Yeah. And as you can see, that was also why she helped educate me on all this stuff as well. Like I was ignorant to Northeast woodland tribes, that there's Indigenous all along the East Coast, going to powwows with her, going to Metacomet's Rock and all that stuff. Like it was a great opportunity for me to also just sort of educate myself. And, it's something that is tied deep into the history of the country. You know what I mean? So, yeah. And it's exactly what you said. Human trafficking, 100%. Anyone who like researches it and looks into it, it is happening. It's everywhere, and it's always happening. It's almost like it's so nefarious. It's like you don't realize it, but it's going on,
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you for going into that. Now, last few questions before we start wrapping things up. Kali, what is a skill that you have as a boxer that directly translates to who you are as an actor?
Just the fact that I am very disciplined as far as getting the best out of me in that moment and putting the trust like a director or like a trainer, and trusting them that I can't see. I see what's right in front of me, but you may see something that I don't. I think being really willing to be able to take criticism, constructive criticism, because I have no critique coaches in the world that are very particular, but just that aspect of being able to kind of act and respond to what's right in front of me, being in the moment and having plan A through C, because I may practice with him in a line, but that actor might give me something completely different, and be able to respond to that. And I transfer that immediately right into acting and just wanting to get the best out of me and staying present in the moment.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. Now, are there any filmmakers or actors that you looked at, Kali, as you were figuring out how you wanted to approach it?
I mean, we worked a lot, and he's a filmmaker, you know what I mean? And he's very, very skilled and educational. I learned a lot from him. I mean, I walked on set like I was a seasoned actress because of what he at the time and did that.
Yeah.
But you know, I love film, I love music, and just the performance aspect of things. But I got to give a shout out to Viola Davis, because she is my Rhode Island counterpart over here. So she's a legend. She's from the same area that I'm from, and
really?
She the way she expresses herself, you can feel everything she's feeling, and that's one of my all-time favorites. And the fact that she's from the same area is kind of dope.
No, that's amazing. Now, Joseph, who influences you as a filmmaker?
Other filmmakers, you mean, or just
or anybody?
I mean, there's so many. I mean, there's just I went to NYU grad film, and one of the professors there, Spike Lee, You Got to Do the Right Thing book behind you. So that's you think of that. Obviously an iconic, legendary director. And I'm lucky enough to have a relationship with him, but his spirit of how he just makes films, makes films by any means necessary. And actually, on my first film, which was also a very complicated, tough film to make, I remember I was meeting with him, and he was like, I was like, it's going to be hard though, like, I don't know how we're going to do it. And he's like, you got to find a way. You got to find a way, just by any means necessary. Right. And so that sort of independent spirit, I always admired. I love, I grew up in the 90s. So like, that window of your certain age of filmmakers, I feel like those films like really have a strong impact on you. So obviously, like, I love the Coen brothers. There's tons of, and then I love, like, Japanese. My mom's Japanese, so I love like Kurosawa and Ozu. So there's so many. I mean, I love Japanese movies, like love the quiet sort of nature of them.
There's a very distinct style.
Yeah, and they just say so much with so little, like I just saw Drive My Car, and I'm just there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about that movie. So all that stuff. Yeah.
Sure. Great. Thank you. Now, final question, Joseph, Kali. First, I want to acknowledge you both for what you've accomplished, not just making this movie, but just really for who you are as human beings, and what you put into getting this movie done. So this isn't just a movie. It's both of you taking a stand for what you believe in and really making a very bold statement. So how do you feel now that the movie is out there for the world to see?
I mean, I keep going back to the fact that we don't have to explain anything, and we just get a lot of really good feedback because people are asking the questions that we wanted people to ask seeing this film. It's not an answer to a problem. It's just our story about a really crazy epidemic. So the feedback that we're getting and the fact that people are giving us back what we put into it, that attention and giving the attention to detail has been so amazing. I think I hear a different point for everybody we speak to, just catches something that we know we were doing, but we didn't want to, show, don't tell. And it's very subtle, but people are paying attention. I think that's the greatest thing. And asking those questions, and they go on the phone, well, I want to know more. And then they have these conversations over dinner with their colleagues, with their friends. And that's, it just starts spinning and spreading. And that's what we wanted.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. And Joseph?
How am I feeling now? You're saying now that's about to be, I mean, to be honest, I'm terrified. I mean, you work on something for so long, you're so close to it. You don't know really, and each individual person, you know, they experience it in a different way. That's one of the things that's really beautiful about filmmaking and being a filmmaker, is you can touch each individual person. It's their own experience of watching that film, right?
Right.
But at the same time, you know, you've invested so long in something, and you know, you want everyone to love it. But the reality is, you're not going to make something that everyone loves. And if you make something that everyone loves, then maybe, you know, maybe that's not right. You know. Yeah. So I'm feeling, you know, I'm feeling very grateful and reflective, because we are coming to the end of this journey. But yeah, I'm just processing, you know. it's kind of just taking it day by day. But I am very proud and grateful. I'm grateful for this relationship, and just, I think what we did is, I know we made a unique piece of art, you know, something that, you know, we took a big swing, you know, maybe it lands all of it, maybe it doesn't, but at least, you know, as independent filmmakers, that's what we need to do. You know, we need to push, we need to take risks. Like, that's a part of what will keep independent film alive, you know?
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. So no, I love that you mentioned gratitude in there as well, because, you know, I think that's a big part of just the overall experience, especially like you said, in putting something out there that, like I imagine there's, like you just said, there's going to be a lot of people that like this movie, but there's also going to be some people who aren't on the side of the movie, and you know that you're going to get those reactions either way. But as long as you are experiencing gratitude within that, I think it's going to be a success for you. So thank you for going into that. And Joseph, Kali, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. Good luck with the movie, and I'm super excited to see what the future has in store for both of you.
And thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for watching too.
Oh yeah, definitely. Thank you. Now the movie is Catch the Fair One. This is director Josef Kubota Wladyka and WBA Super Lightweight Champion KO Kali Reis. My name is Mark, and this is the 206 Changing Directions Filmmaker Interview Series. For more information on Catch the Fair One, you can look for the movie on the official IFC Films website and social media. Thank you so much. Be safe, and we'll see you next time.